Oh boy, boy, boy.
Could you give us a little bit more music?
Sure could.
We're having some technical difficulties, guys.
There we go.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to A Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. And tonight, I've got a show about Another One Bites the Dust. I am in celebration mode tonight, folks, because another one is going to bite the dust. Any guesses who that might be, Duke?
Well, it might be the person right behind you, Evan K. Duke III.
Evan Kirk Duke III is going to jail.
Whoa.
This is my prediction. There's a warrant out for his arrest. He has been charged with felony charges and other misdemeanor charges I will show you on tonight's show. Plus, we will also be talking about the government watch list that is investigating members of the Caravan Support Network, now known as the Border Support Network, founded by none other than Evan K. Duke. And other groups surrounding that one, promoting that one, that kind of maybe were the catalyst for the creation of the Caravan Support Network, now known as the Border Support Network. Groups like Cosecha, Movimiento Cosecha, the Border Liberation Front, it's going down. And we will also look at the posts from Evan Duke's page recently, since the riot in Portland that he is facing charges for, and what he's been talking about, which include 9/11, which include mutual aid. What's mutual aid? We'll talk about that. And finally, we will get into what he is promoting on his page, which is coming from an article on mutual aid and what that means. And it includes the history of a group called the Common Grounds Collective. This group is one that was founded by two dudes, one of whom turned out to be an FBI informant named Brendan Darby. And I'm going to get into all the information about Brendan and one of his best buddies, who's also acts like she acts like Paloma for fraud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she acts like a fraud. She acts like a call girl. She acts like a person that is two-faced, that plays both ends against, that has no loyalty to anyone but money and power. Cassandra Fairbanks. You remember Cassandra?
I remember Cassandra. Yeah, best friends with Roger Stone, yes. And
buddies with Roger Stone.
Yep, and Assange.
And Assange. She's also buddies with Winnie Wong.
Okay.
She's also buddies with a bunch of other people. I'm going to remind you who she is, okay?
Oh, yeah.
But the thing that you should remember the most is that she's a snitch. And so is Brendan Darby. And we will talk about, finally, these are all things coming from soon to be going to jail Evan Duke's page. And we're also going to talk about my prediction, which if you have been watching my show, you probably heard about. My prediction that these con artivists, and I predicted this ever since the Bahamas were being devastated by Hurricane Dorian.
Oh, yeah.
What did I say? Do you remember, Duke, what I predicted?
Well, it's every hurricane and every national disaster, these disaster vultures have been flocking to make more money, to take donations, to act like they're helping people. So every time we have a hurricane that devastates any place close to the United States, they're going to show up. So, I think you mentioned that, well, another disaster, God help the people of the Bahamas.
They're already there, Duke.
They're already there. Wow. So your prediction came true, which is easy to predict because their behavior doesn't change. Unless they get put in jail, then it changes.
Yeah. They're already there. I'm going to show it all to you. Some of my followers in Puerto Rico have been following me since Ed Higgins went there. Since that woman, Kayla Hassig.
Oh, yeah.
The one that calls herself Miki Iguane or something. Like, you remember that?
Yeah.
Miki King Iguane or something like that. That woman, along with Anthony Gazzotti and Terrence Daniels and
all those people.
All of the other frauds. Yeah. Well, that's another thing that Mr. soon to be going to jail Evan Duke was promoting on his page. All of that will be covered on tonight's show. Another one bites the dust. But folks, let me tell you, I wish I could clone myself.
Yeah. Then you have 4 arms.
I honestly you're funny. No, I wish I could clone myself because I wanted to do another show tonight on Pendeja for Fraud.
Yeah.
In fact, I had it queued up. Guys, guys, I have interviews with so many witnesses now at this point. I had one with a man that you saw in court documents said he had been romantically involved with Paloma and had taken her on trips, like when he went to Lake Tahoe with her, that she wanted to extort $5,000 from him, or she threatened to take legal action in the form of a restraining order, a bogus restraining order, which then happened to him. Of course, the bogus restraining order was not granted. The case was dismissed. The woman whose fake name she used and fake address she used, that whole thing just got thrown out. But that guy, the guy that was on the receipt that was shared with me by Mary Tando Quintanilla, that man spoke with me in an interview. It's all in Spanish, but of course, yours truly can translate. And it is a doozy. You know how hard it was for me to decide what I was going to do tonight? I was like, oh, weighing my options. What do I do? What am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that I now know that she extorted, pendeja for fraud, extorted so much money from this poor man? I said, how much money did you end up giving to this woman over the whole time period with the fixing of the house and on? He's like, $15,000 to $20,000.
Wow.
I was like, what? $15,000 or $20,000.
Wow.
Sick. Crazy. That's not even the worst interview that I've had. That with like mind-boggling information that just makes you. So, more to come. More to come. I had to preempt. There are so many frauds and phonies out there, and they all think that they're the most important one, but they're really not. They all require exposure, and I'm here to do that work. That's what to do. It's what I live for.
Oh, yeah. Exposing
these frauds. So I will be doing that very soon. Duke, you want to tell people how folks can get a hold of us?
Of course.
How they can support our work?
Of course.
Tonight, if you're on the Super Chat, I just want to mention we're simulcasting for the first time on both platforms. We just needed to figure out how to do it. Now we're doing it. It's happening. But Super Chat, because those are people making donations on the spot, in the moment, I will be prioritizing their comments and their questions on our shows. Although if you just want to watch and listen, you can certainly do that from our Facebook platform as well. Follow us on all our platforms, including Twitter, YouTube. Make sure you press the button for the notification. And on my public page. How can folks get a hold of us?
Well, like as Cindy just said, we are doing a multicast, simulcast on Facebook and YouTube. Figuring we catch people instead of uploading our videos to YouTube after our Facebook Live. We're going to do them both at the same time. That way the YouTube watchers who aren't part of Facebook can watch. And those of you that like Facebook and will like watching us on Facebook, you can watch there. And we are trying that, and then hopefully it goes well tonight. Some technical things I've had to work on for the past couple of weeks to get that to work, but all the information to get a hold of us is all the same. You can call our call-in line and leave a message at 701-566-0917. It's 701-566-0917. You can email Cindy at kpppfm.com or me, Duke, at kpppfm.com. If you're following us on Facebook, you're at 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead. You can also look at the People's Press Project in Mexi-Can. You can follow Cindy's public page by searching for @Cindy-Go-Schempp. And go to kpppfm.com. That's our main website. I'm a few shows behind. The weekend happened and I didn't get the work done. Took part of the weekend off. And you can go there and find our past shows and find embedded links and watch the videos right there. You can also make a donation to our nonprofit organization. Go to kpppfm.com/donate and make a tax-deductible donation for our station so we can continue to bring you the programming we're bringing you. The quality of the programming and the improvements we are making is because of you, the viewers, you, the people that support us, and we are a non-commercial, nonprofit radio station in Fargo Moorhead. We rebroadcast some of these live streams on our local radio station, so if you're driving around Fargo Moorhead, you can find us at kpppfm.com. And we're on KPPP LP 88.1 Fargo Moorhead. We're a radio station. We reach potentially 200,000 people in this community. So we appreciate all the people on Facebook in the multiple countries that are watching. There's people that watch in Mexico. There's people that watch in the UK. There's people that watch in India. There's people that watch in Asia. And people all across the United States and in Mexico and in South American countries too. Welcome everybody to our show. It's going to be a doozy. This is something we've been following, and we had to do a show on this today because we just got the information. And thank you, all of you, who send us all this information, because we would not be able to do the crowd resourcing that we are having happen with this without you, the dedicated people who have been making those contributions of information. If we get it twice, it's no big deal. If we get it and you don't see it, we're banking it for another time. So thank you, 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 and thank you.
Joy said that she's got to be, she referring to Paloma for Trump. Paloma Zuniga de Lint. The lint from my belly button.
Uh-huh.
That she must be freaking the hell out. Here is my response to that. I do know that she is probably wondering where the current information I am getting is coming from, because she is hurt and she has defrauded and extorted money and taken compromising photos to blackmail people with from so many victims. She doesn't know which way. All of them are coming together, are talking together, are standing against her. They've figured out who their common enemy is, and they're becoming empowered. Whereas she is just sitting there wondering which one of these people that she heretofore had been able to keep under her thumb, under her boot, without a care in the world. Which one of all these people that are standing up against her? And where is the information coming from? Too bad, Paloma for fraud. You shouldn't have hurt those people. You shouldn't have hurt that many people.
That's right.
You should consider stopping what you're doing now. Once again, I will remind you, you still have open lines with the Dr. Phil show.
Mm-hmm.
You could ask for help, psychiatric help. It never hurts. You could come out of this with some help so that you don't end up in jail like Evan K. Duke III is going to, or like so many others of the frauds and phonies that I've told you have done so. And Mina says there's a really great group in the Grand Bahamas right now called Samaritan's Purse. I'll have to look into them. Mina, I don't know about them. I don't want to endorse them. Mina is saying they're great, but I would have to look into them before I would endorse anyone. I will tell you that a lot of the people that prey upon these disaster situations are not doing what they say that they're going to do. It's not even so much that they're evil. It's just that they take money to do certain things and then don't do them. That's wrong, right? The group that you're mentioning, the Samaritan's Purse, has set up an entire mobile hospital capable of doing even surgeries. Wow, that's great. That is amazing. That's exactly what people need there. Emergency medical assistance. Well, Mina, I'm going to share tonight with you a little tiny bit, okay, of what these fraudsters are doing in the Bahamas. They got to go fraud me up to get money. Someone else says the Samaritan's Purse is also a wonderful organization. Thank you, Betty. Thank you. So you guys have done your research on them. Well, let me tell you, the group I'm going to talk about tonight are not good people.
No.
They were involved in the nonsense that came here, known as the pipeline fight against the Dakota Access Pipeline. So let's start off at the beginning with the criminalizing dissent Facebook post of Evan K. Duke. He posted this on his page, complaining about the article in Yahoo News that said that documents revealed the FBI are tracking border protester groups as extremists, and quotes from the article, What Duke?
The FBI has gathered intelligence from people with direct access, quote unquote, to the organizations and is monitoring their social media, according to the leaked documents called an external intelligence note, quote unquote, which was produced by the FBI office in Phoenix and sent to other law enforcement and government agencies, and said there are indications these groups are increasingly arming themselves and using lethal force to further their goals, quote unquote. However, all the evidence cited in the report involved nonviolent protest activity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This was the big move by the faketivists to show how they are basically being targeted by the U.S. government. So they wanted everybody's sympathy. We as activists, that we're doing the good stuff in this country, we're standing up for those poor people that need help, and the government is watching us like we are criminals. Like we're criminals, but we're the good guys. We need your help. They've raised all sorts of money. They've created all sorts of spectacles, and these people kept on criming. And now one or many has actually had a subpoena and has an arrest warrant for their arrest for what they've been doing, which shows they are up to something no good.
And they do need to go to jail. I think they need to go to jail. I think a lot of these folks need to go to jail that have not gone to jail yet, even though going back as far as the pipeline protest here in North Dakota. And we'll share the link to this document so you can take a look for yourself. It is rather long. It talks about how the FBI is monitoring these groups, and basically what they're talking about is sharing information between law enforcement agencies and how they prioritize threats, terroristic threats and non-terroristic threats, and whether or not they consider the source of information about the source of the threat to be a primary source or a secondary or tertiary source, where, they don't really trust the source as much and don't need to take as much action. But, and Nemo can share that in the comments of the show,
mm-hmm.
or the our Facebook page for people to find that.
Mm-hmm.
It's titled, "Exclusive Document Reveals the FBI is Tracking Border Protest Groups as Extremist Organizations," written by Jana Winter and Hunter Walker, September 4th of this year, 2019. And it is a slanted article which seems to imply that the government is doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Usually when the government is investigating, they're investigating because there's a reason to investigate. And there's plenty of reasons to investigate the Border Support Network and the people involved in the Border Support Network. And I've shown you that there is investigations into the Border Support Network leadership, the founders, including Lilith Sinclair, Jamie Skopowski, Evan Duke, Wiaka Eagleman. The list goes on and on and on. A whole bunch of people that we showed you on our show. Dozens of people that we showed you. It was over 55 people.
Yeah.
And that was what they told us about.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they told you and I about that was available. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So this article, there's a particular piece of it that I wanted to throw up on the screen. If you could go to that screen capture from It's Going Down, Border Liberation Front. It says in this article, it disappeared. The FBI's Phoenix Note also provided an online magazine with a timeline of border protest activities published on what it called an anarchist extremist website. The anarchist extremist website they're referring to here is It's Going Down, which I've shown you on my shows. I've talked about it ever since the protest that occurred, where the mercenary activists were holed up in that temporary shelter down the street from Benito Juarez called Viento y Marea. You remember that one, Duke?
Oh, yeah.
And this is what it says about that investigation into the It's Going Down people from the FBI. It says, based on dates and quotes cited by the note, the FBI seems to be referring to a post on the activist website It's Going Down, which linked to the online magazine. And then it goes on to say, if you scroll down, that the FBI document also said the Bureau was tracking an Arizona-based left-wing militia group identified as the Border Liberation Front. According to the note, The FBI was told about the group's activity from a human source with direct access. Okay? So the Border Liberation Front are largely nonviolent and described by the group as dedicated to monitoring various U.S. Border Patrol activities, right-wing militia groups, and other groups favoring the border wall, mostly to expose human rights abuses. Well, you know what, that guy that was with No More Deaths, another one of these groups that says their activities are largely nonviolent, like the Border Angels and the Ángeles de la Frontera, and all of those groups working with Irineo Mujica, the human trafficker and smuggler that works with organized crime in Mexico. They say the groups are mostly nonviolent and their activities are based on exposing the activities of human rights abuses by Border Patrol and other agencies. That's their stated reason for their activities on the border, but that's not their actions. That's not what they're doing. What they're doing is setting up meetings like Scott Warren was in the desert in Arizona at a safe house that they've been using to illegally smuggle people. Setting it up a week in advance, meeting up with this criminal from Mexico's group Pueblos Sin Fronteras. Well, it's actually an American group, but they're operating in Mexico primarily. Yeah. And they're helping to smuggle people into the United States. That's what they're actually doing. Or they're doing narco weddings, like Enrique Morones did, where they embarrassed CBP and put together a narco wedding using Border Patrol in the backdrop. That's what they're actually doing. And Joshua Nichols, if you will recall, one of the Antifa activists working with Evan Duke, posted about being in It's Going Down, writing for It's Going Down, and telling his story through this website while they were at the Viento y Marea shelter. He said, here's a good roundup of what I got myself into. Remember, he's the guy that has the blonde hair, the blondish hair that was translating. He says, the siege of the autonomous migrant shelter in Tijuana. It's going down.
Yeah.
Remember that guy?
I remember that guy.
Remember this guy that recently said I was pendeja for Trump's friend?
Yeah.
Notice how they all started talking about pendeja for Trump, because I'm sure they all know her. She's friends with all the criminals. She's down with all the criminals. This was posted on Abolish ICE PDX, which the sex worker, the other sex worker, Lilith Sinclair talked about in her video. It's posting Pueblos Sin Fronteras, of course, the LGBTQ support for Diversidad Sin Fronteras, the gay arm of Pueblos Sin Fronteras. And if you scroll down, you'll notice that this post was originally made. And of course, they've got the Caravan Support Network, which they helped to start.
Yeah.
And who helped to start it? The Border Liberation Front.
Wow.
Let me show you how the Border Liberation Front did this. Here in this next one, you'll see they had a barbecue. Here's another one of their posts. They were throwing a barbecue for abolishing ICE in San Francisco. And they're using the Eagle in the Condor hashtag, made famous by one of the other admins, Evan Duke.
Yep.
And what's his name? Myron Dewey of
Myron
Digital
Dewey, yes.
Smoke Signals.
Yeah.
And you can see this is a barbecue to support and raise funds for the Asylum Seekers Caravan, which was the original name of the Border Support Network. Hashtag Asylum Seekers Caravan Support Network. Remember?
Yep.
Next one shows you that Movimiento Cosecha was posting along with the Caravan Support Network. On the Border Liberations Front's page, if you scroll down, you'll see that this was a post shared of Movimiento Cosechas, one of their allies in forming and promoting the Border Support Network. And the next one shows that they were organizing people in the Caravan Support Network in different sections of the country Could you read this one, please?
I sure can.
This is from the Border Liberation Front.
Border Liberation Front shared a group. Southwest represent. Indigenous-led Caravan Support Network based in southwest region of Turtle Island slides through for networking around caravan support efforts going down in the Southwest. The Eagle and Condor Unite, Southwest Welcoming Planning Group. It's a closed group with 158 members at that time on November 11th.
Yep, but you can see they're definitely networking and getting people rather. In the next one, you see the hashtag Asylum Seekers Caravan Support Network used by the Border Liberation Front.
Yes.
This is before they actually began. They were promoting it, raising money for it, talking about it on the Border Liberation Front.
Yeah.
Then it just became the page that used to be Evan Duke's page.
They keep on burying it and changing its name to kind of swiggle around,
Yeah, because the page he was using previously had a different name, but it became the hashtag Asylum Seekers Caravan Support Network. And you see here in an article that was shared on Evan Duke's page, the one you just saw the post about.
Okay.
Oh, no, this is a different one. Was it the one that he posted about in the beginning? No, that one's about the criminalizing the dissent. We'll get to that one in a minute. Okay.
Right.
So this is from the Oregonian. This is the article. Did you skip over? Yeah, you did. Can I have Oregonian article? Oh, wait. That is what it is. Okay, thank you. All right. In this article, which was posted by Evan Duke, they talk about how 4 people have received charges, including Mr. Dial or Deal. I don't know how you pronounce his name. And this man, 37-year-old Alexander Dial, was the guy that was wearing the Cuck for Life shirt. Remember that in the Portland riots?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
He was the one that grabbed the hammer. He was the one that was hitting with the hammer. So that guy, which I told you, did his own GoFraudMe account, which raised over $11,000. And he did so by sponsoring it through another Facebook account with a fake name, but it's still him. Remember he did that? And I'm like, how many people do that? Like, imagine that you were like, Donald Duck is raising money for Duke Gomez-Schempp, and you're using some fake account where you're actually Donald Duck.
Exactly. Quack, quack, quack.
And so he did that. He pulled that, raised a lot of money for himself. He might need it for legal fees now because he's facing multiple criminal accounts. And because of, the charges, which include second-degree assault and a Measure 11 crime, which carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years and 10 months in prison.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, this is very serious.
Very serious.
It also says 4 other counter-protesters also face, this guy right here, also face felony allegations in the bus confrontations, including riot charges, assault charges, and assault charges being the most severe. So, Evan is one of those people, as you know, because I just told you, but I will show you in a minute. Evan posted his solidarity with the beta cuck dude. He's like, as many of you are aware, the man you see... Wait, I can't do it. He has a very deep voice.
As many of you are aware, the man you see in the right side of the photograph in the red helmet is Alexander Dial, trending on Twitter as Beta Cuck for Life, a professor who is defending Portland, Oregon, with a large group of local citizens against SPLC-designated hate groups who have invaded the downtown area without permits to spread their rhetoric of intolerance. Unfortunately, the Portland police arrested Alexander during the demonstration and have chosen to criminally prosecute him. These are serious charges and he needs your help now. Alexander has no criminal record, a long history of activism, and he's in serious legal jeopardy as a result of the nature of his case's political charge. Take a stand with those who stand up for their communities and donate to this defense fund now. These hate groups are emboldened under the current administration, and we need all the community defenders we can get. We'll not be intimidated. This campaign is created by Alexander Dial of Portland, Oregon, and the donations are intended to go towards legal fees and or penalties associated with these proceedings only. Any money raised from this campaign will be withdrawn only for his legal defense in this specific case. Transparency is important to him. And there he is.
Folks, I'm going to answer a question from our super chat. If you want to prioritize a question, please consider using the YouTube super chat option, and you can prioritize by making a contribution as well. Truth Seeker asks, is Terrence there in the Bahamas, and who is funding all of this travel? As far as I know, Terrence is still in Hawaii.
Oh, that's right.
With Dean Dedman, a.k.a. the drone pilot, Shai Bidzal. The drone pilot that was formerly at Evan Duke's camp in Texas, Mason Bobby Leonard. All three of those drone pilots have not just been in Hawaii, they've been flying their drones in Hawaii. You saw their drone videos, right, Duke?
Yeah, I sure did.
What were they filming?
Well, they were just flying around, and Shai Bidzal, he does like a video every day, and he's like, here's some acoustic music. He went down there, all of a sudden he left from South Dakota, and he's going to Hawaii. And in Hawaii, they're calling, come here, activists come here, just like they did in Standing Rock. They're doing a call out for people to come and, do a great big encampment. But, I mean, this is Hawaii. I mean, it's a long ways away. It's an island out in the Pacific. And people have to do a lot of expense to fly there. And if they're going to sleep at the camp, they're doing the camp where they have food there and tents and tarpies and whatnot. And all these things are going on there. But Shai's he's been flying a drone because I've seen it, but it's way up high and over the mountains. And they've done some zoom ins on kind of the road that's being blocked and where people are doing the encampment. And then Mason Bobby Leonard, he's been there too. So they're drone pilots that are there. I've seen them posters, some just sitting around campfires, playing drums and music, sitting around. I don't know what they're doing, but it's not like in Standing Rock they had people doing the activist reports. I haven't seen any activist reports or anything except a call out for people to get there.
Well, they've got the Hawaiian people that are doing their, sort of like daily reports on what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And
but these guys, I don't know how they're funded to be able to get there, and also what their purpose is. But a lot of people that are part of this so-called organizing were people that were at Standing Rock. A lot of people at Hawaii came to Standing Rock, and now it's like payback time. Now it's time for people that were doing Standing Rock to go back to Hawaii and stand with those people. So it's just trying to do the same sort of cluster blank, that they did in Standing Rock in Hawaii, as far as I can see.
Let me tell you, the money was raised through GoFundMes, generosity funds, legal defense funds, to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. Veterans Stand for Standing Rock funds, all sorts of NGOs and nonprofit organizations and persons raising money through GoFundMes, PayPal's, Venmos, etc. And who was putting money in there? People like Francis Fisher. Who was putting money in there? People from that work on the campaigns of Bernie Sanders and others of the Democratic Socialist Party. We have shown you that those folks are many times behind the poop show and the people that you see in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's who's funding a lot of this. In my opinion, as far as I have been able to dig, I always end up in the same place. So that's what I can tell you about those folks. Also, Truth Seeker says, Lilith was upset you only gave her 45 minutes of attention.
Oh, yeah.
Wonder how much money she's getting from everyone, Lee Hampton asks. Who is that referring to, Lee? Are you talking about Paloma for Fraud, or are you talking about Lilith? I need clarity. Give me names, folks, because we got a lot of names going on tonight. Okay. where were we? This is the article in which they talk about the arrests that Evan Duke shared on his page. From the Oregonian.
Yep.
And it gives a quote that says that in their ceaseless attempts to criminalize autonomous social movements and those willing to defend their communities from ascendant fascism, the state is running a grand jury which has heard testimony from some of the most violent, well-known far-right agitators in the area, all of whom weren't even present at the event that they testified about. The key witness, Reggie Axtell, was randomly asked to testify day of and has live-streamed himself threatening the life of the mayor of Portland, as well as posted extreme racist threats and diatribes against Black Portland City Councilwoman Hardesty. The grand jury also heard testimony from proud, self-identified white nationalist Haley Adams. You remember Haley, the blonde girl that I showed in the videos?
Running for mayor.
No, she's not running for mayor, Duke. She's that girl with those the patriot groups that are fighting against the other people. Mm-hmm. Remember, I was making fun of how they act like they're wrestlers on opposite sides of teams.
Yeah.
The blonde girl.
Yeah.
You remember her?
Yeah, I thought she was running for mayor. That's what she said.
She said she was running for mayor?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that. They accused her partner there, the other guy, of threatening the mayor. And anyway, he posted this on his page, which I thought was funny because he must be fuming about the fact that he's got charges for being involved in that protest. A lot of people picked you out, Evan, and told the authorities about what you were doing, myself included.
Yeah.
And I am so thankful that the authorities got information on you in front of their eyes so they could quickly identify you and charge you criminally. Here is from the online record search, the warrant for his arrest, Evan Kirk Duke. Warrant information, multiple criminal arrest warrant active. Ready, set, and hide. Here's the offense, the felony. It's a felony charge, just to be clear. Felony. And the charge is for 1 felony and 2 misdemeanors. Not just 1 charge, but 3. So you have to go to the offense felony, and then you'll be able to see the actual charges. You have 2 of them?
It's the same one. The other one just don't have it in it.
Well, let me find it for you, and you can put it in right now.
Well, it says this other one charges 1 felony, 2 misdemeanor. That's where maybe.
Where does it say that? Because it says each one of the charges on the offense felony one. It has the individual charges and the names of them and what they're for on the offense felony. There it is.
That was on the arrest warrant.
Okay, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, at the bottom there, it says the first one is for rioting, which is a Class C felony. And the other 2 charges are Class A misdemeanors. One for attempt to commit a Class C felony, I'm assuming. The Class C felony of rioting.
Yeah.
And the other one is for criminal mischief in the 2nd degree. So.
And they're charged out on the 17th of August.
All of them, right? It doesn't look like there was a fine for any of those. But the Class C felony, that's pretty bad. Mm-hmm. That one is pretty bad. If convicted, and hopefully with all of the information that we have provided to authorities that will come true, then he should be seeing some pretty heavy fines as well as some jail time. Now, the other thing that happened to Evan Duke is he went bye-bye.
Yeah.
Like, he disappeared. He's been quiet. Here's a post this is the screen capture of the Occupy inauguration page, which is now no longer available. Oh. If you go to the Occupy inauguration page, group where he posted a lot of stuff. It's gone. Maybe there's incriminating evidence on it or something.
I think
he
so.
needed to hide.
Had to go hide it before he ends up in jail.
Get rid of it.
Yep.
Get rid of it.
Before he gets picked up.
Yep, and it's gone. Ding dong, the witch is dead. The wicked witch. Oh, wait, no, wait. That's for later.
Yeah.
The wicked witch is still flapping around. But, Evan Duke is going down. Another one bites the dust. And more to come. Chin chin for that. I can't wait. Evan wrote a poem on 9/11.
Oh, man.
I'm definitely not going to make you read this whole thing, but I want you.
We'll show up for proof, but
listen, I don't want to make our viewers and listeners vomit. But I will have you read some of it so they get an idea of the flavor of the stank on this poem that he posted on September 11th in a page called Conversations with White People.
Oh, talking about race.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have to start reading this?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be helpful.
Before I start this poem, you're not going to make me read all of it, though.
No,
so you better. Before I start this poem, I'd like to ask you to join me in a moment of silence in honor of those who died in the World Trade Center and the Pentagon last September 11th. I would also like to ask you a moment of silence for all those who have been harassed, imprisoned, disappeared, tortured, raped, or killed in retaliation for those strikes for the victims both in Afghanistan and the U.S. Now, if I could just add one more thing, a full day of silence for the tens of thousands of Palestinians who have died in the hands of U.S.-backed Israeli forces over decades of occupation. 6 months of silence for the 1.5 million Iraqi people, mostly children, who have died of malnourishment or starvation as a result of an 11-year U.S. embargo against the country. Before I begin this poem, 2 months of silence for the blacks under apartheid in South Africa, where Homeland Security made them aliens in their own country.
Are you getting the gist of it? Before I start this poem, before I actually commemorate the victims of 9/11, I want to spend time commemorating our victims of America, and I'm never going to actually get around
to doing the poem,
to commemorating the victims of 9/11. It's a sorry, not sorry, I'm not going to commemorate 9/11 poem.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I thought it was going that way.
That's what it is.
Wow.
And however you may feel about our history in America, however you may think about whether or not we should have gone to war with this country or that country or like the outcome of that war, or like some of the things that we have done historically in terms of policy, etc. It is a day of mourning and memorial of thousands of people that died in the United States in the worst terrorist attack in our history. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You don't go to somebody's funeral and go, before we mourn John Williams, H.Q. Williams, this person died of cancer. Why aren't we mourning all the other people that died of cancer first?
Yeah. We're going to spend some time in asking for a day of silence, a moment of silence, a week of silence, 6 months of silence, a year of silence, and go on and on. I'd like to just have you go silent at this point.
I mean, this is how anti-American, anti-government, anti-everything that we stand for in this country, this guy is. He is anti. Anarchist, fascist, anti-fascist. He's anti-government. He's just anti. And in the worst possible way. Middle finger in your face on 9/11 Memorial Day.
Yeah, really.
And then this other one, in this next post, he is talking about mutual aid. Now, I don't know if you remember, I showed you from Lilith Sinclair's and Evan Dukes and a whole bunch of other of these activists, including Lilith Sinclair and Brendan Tucker and Kat McCoy and a whole bunch of other anarchists that were driving around the country with Evan Duke. They went to Antioch College. Vanessa Dundon. Remember all those people that went? Wiaka Eagleman for like a little field trip. But they were doing a presentation. They were going on college radio. They were recruiting college students to go to their border support network as volunteers to go and help the crooked lawyers of Al Otro Lado.
Yep.
The whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
They were doing at Antioch College. And they showed that the border support network is made up of specific people and they have specific jobs like distribution, donations, blah, blah, blah. Remember those chalkboards?
Oh, yeah.
There's 2 of them.
Yep.
And on the second one, it said mutual aid. How will this get, how will this be funded? There was like fundraising at the bottom somewhere.
Money.
They're explaining locations of the camps, where they were going to put the activists' homes, near the border, etc. And on there, it said mutual aid. And this is what they were talking about. This is what it was talking about. Evan Duke posted this on his page, and it says, when we begin to understand that the state will not protect us, that's our government, basically, right? When we realize that our government, our country, will not protect us, or at least not the marginalized among us, then we can instead become aware of a profound responsibility to our fellow people and to the non-human life around us. In the words of the late poet Jane Jordan, we are the ones we've been waiting for. The anarchist idea of mutual aid is one way marginalized communities take care of each other through cooperation, not competition.
Mutual aid.
And there's an article in the Briar Patch. Here is the Briar Patch article. I'll share a link with you. You want to go check this stuff out on your own? Go crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It's titled Mutual Aid for the World. Mutual Aid for the End of the World. Published by Kelly Rose Flugback. Flugback. On September 5th. And in this article, which is pretty long and talks about the history of anarchists and how they, the world and how they help each other and how they do activism, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
In one part of it, it talks about the Common Ground Collective. And here is that excerpt. Could you please show it
I sure
and
can.
Read it?
What these preppers are preparing for is for a fantasy, where they are no longer beholden to the expectations of others, but also capable of individually replicating all of the functions of a society that they take for granted. Says Aus. Mainstream prepper culture began during the anti-communist fear-mongering of the Cold War. But survival-oriented communities of queer, racialized, and disabled people have always existed. After Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, it was a Common Ground Collective, founded by anarchist organizers Scott Crow, former Black Panther Party member Malik Rahim, and community activist Sharon Johnson, that provided vital disaster relief, food, shelter, and medical care to New Orleans, primarily black residents, when the state failed to do so.
So, do you remember those people that were listed there? They talked about this Crow dude, and Black Panthers are mentioned there, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have Scott Crow, Malik Rahim. Malik Rahim was visited or close to the vice president for the Green Party in the 2016 election, Ajamu Baraka, excuse me.
Yeah.
And Jill Stein, as you may recall. And what really leapt out at me about this article was that Common Grounds Collective because of what I already know about them and how it's connected to Evan Duke and how it's connected to the Border Support Network. Okay? Sit down because this is going to get crazy. Mm-hmm. So this woman in this article about Lisa Fithian and Common Grounds, it talks about, and this is just an excerpt, it talks about Brendan Darby, another one of the co-creators of Common Grounds.
Okay.
And it says that Darby had an on-again, off-again history with the group Common Grounds that he helped to found, as you can see, when he first arrived in New Orleans from Austin. He was an anarchist, and he believed in the overthrow of the government. Yeah, because that's what anarchists believe. His views changed, he says, as the community began to accept the organization, and he started to feel he could work with the government and not against it. When he left New Orleans for Austin in early 2006, he was at odds with some of those in Common Grounds, but said he was asked to return in November of 2006 as their interim director.
Wow.
Yeah. And who did they put in the position of director? Well, it was an FBI informant. And Lisa Fithian, remember, she was one of the people that was at Standing Rock that ended up getting arrested and that we bailed out of jail. That was in her home.
Yeah.
That's how we know
who she is.
His tenure didn't last long. Lisa Fithian, an Austin activist and early Common Ground organizer. So they're anarchists. Because you know it's an anarchist organization, right?
Yeah.
Left the group in October of 2006 and said that she began hearing complaints about Darby in December, only weeks after he took his new position. Fithian said many volunteers described Darby as a divisive force, pitting people against one another, carrying guns, verbally abusing women, and purging the volunteer ranks of those who didn't agree with his methods. And the organization started to fall apart. Fithian then returned to New Orleans in January 2007 for an emergency meeting of Common Ground leaders. She said Darby screamed at her and at Crow during the meeting, and accused them of conspiring against him. Man, Fithian recalls telling a friend, this guy is not only crazy, but this is COINTELPRO. And she had no idea how much it was. Or maybe she did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, really.
I don't really know, because when I was at Standing Rock, and these are organizers like Fithian, who you can see go way, way back, years back, organizing around, New Orleans during the Katrina thing with anarchists and all these things. And yet they have so many of these criminals infiltrated somehow into their movement that behave as if they were. And then many of them are part of the government infiltration. I mean, look at what they did to Red Dawn.
Yeah.
She ended up in Red Fawn. She ended up in jail. And the guy that she was dating, whose gun she ended up having as a felon, which she wasn't supposed to have, the day that she got arrested for shooting a gun.
Yeah, and plus she had priors.
She was getting arrested.
Prior weapons charges, and the guy was an FBI informant. That was a plant. That was her boyfriend. So the FBI put a plant in, was her boyfriend. A lot of people say he planted the gun on her. She got arrested and went to jail.
She's still in jail.
And it's still in jail. She's one of the people from Standing Rock that got sent upriver. And, who knows what all the dealings was there, because the FBI had all sorts of informants and infiltrators, which they do in these movements too. They end up putting other people in jail, suckering in, like that thing, what's her name was involved in Minneapolis with the Republican National Convention.
Brandon Darby was part of that?
Darby was part of that, which was an FBI setup. And, people go to jail. They get involved, and these anarchists, there's a lot of them out there that are just like, I want to join this. This looks cool. This looks like what I believe in. They're suckers. They get set up to take the fall.
I don't know how Lisa Fithian and these other people with the Border Support Network do not realize how they are putting people at risk of going to jail.
Yeah.
But Lisa Fithian wrote this lengthy blog in which she talked about her experience with Darby a long, long time ago. Here it is, titled Lisa Fithian, FBI informant Brandon Darby, Sexism, Egos, and Lies. And I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it's really long, but I just wanted to scroll real quick through the blog so you could take a look and see how much she put into this blog. And you can just keep scrolling. And you can see that she talks about Dave McKay, that other kid that got arrested, and the National Convention, and then here's the two kids.
Yeah.
Keep scrolling. Keep on scrolling. Keep on scrolling. Keep on scrolling all the way down. They talk about the RNC. There's Scott Crew, the guy that he founded the Common Grounds organization with. He founded that anarchist organization.
Okay.
And then he put all those people in jail. He's been putting people in jail ever since. Now he's one of the editors for Breitbart.
Really?
Yeah. And so, I mean, she wrote, that's about all I have for this, but it goes on. It goes on and it goes on and it goes on. And I just wanted to show it to you because these folks, you would think they would know the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that they would know what's going on and who they're working, and that they're essentially working around a lot of people that are criminals, that are doing bad things, like some of the people I featured on my show since Standing Rock. But they really don't talk about it. And in this book by PM Press, you can see they talk a little bit about the modus operandi. I just thought it was interesting who's on here. And it says that Black Flags and Windmills, which is the name of the book, equal parts memoir, history, and organizing philosophy, vividly intertwines Common Ground's co-founder Scott Crow's experience and ideas with Katrina's reality, illustrating how people can build local grassroots power for collective liberation. Now, some of the people that are listed on here, it says that the group that they started, Common Grounds, had the motto of solidarity, not charity. They wanted to build autonomous projects and programs, spaces, and for self-sufficiency, like health clinics, neighborhood assemblies, while also supporting communities defending themselves from white militias, police brutality, illegal home demolitions, and evictions. Okay? That's what they were about.
Wow.
And they got praise from Amy Goodman of Democracy Now!
Of course.
And guess who else?
Who?
Bill Ayers.
Oh,
the guy that started Refuse Fascism with Chase Iron Eyes.
Mm-hmm. The Weather Underground guy.
The Weather Underground guy. He thinks the book's great.
Oh, I suppose. Blowing up houses, I'm sure. The FBI is quoted here. Crow is a puppet master involved in direct action. Oh yeah, I'm sure he is.
Even the FBI is quoted in the comments of the thing. Yeah,
wow.
And it also talks about all of the people that Scott Crow, the guy that co-founded this group, Common Grounds, was involved with, including Radical Encuentro Camp, Uproar, Dirty Earth First, North Texas Coalition for Justice Peace. He trained and organized for Greenpeace, Ruckus Society, Rainforest Action Network, Acorn, Forest Ethics, Ralph Nader, and many small grassroots groups.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives you a little bit of the background on this guy, and on the philosophy of what they do as organizers. Now, I wanted to show you some of the places where Lisa Fithian shows up.
Okay.
Involved in the Border Support Network, we saw Movimiento Cosecha, right?
Mm-hmm.
I told you that Movimiento Cosecha was one of the first people on the ground at the border when the caravan got there.
Yeah.
And we've seen them as part of the Border Support Network. Here you see Lisa Fithian is one of the people that likes that Movimiento Cosecha page.
Okay.
Here she is, along with some other people, but I took a picture of that because I was like,
Of course.
So many people from Standing Rock are included on this. Tristan Call also posted, along with linked to And these are posts from 2016 from Veterans Stand for Standing Rock.
Okay.
And you can scroll down and you can see that Lisa Fithian is tagged in a post with Tristan Call on the oil pipeline built at ING Bank. Next, you can scroll down and see there was another one, wasn't there?
No.
Was that it?
Yep.
Okay. Next, you can see that there is a post by Tristan Call of the press conference in which both Cristobal Sanchez and Irineo Mujica of Pueblos Sin Fronteras spoke after they had been arrested. You remember that that press conference where Cristobal's hair was all crazy?
Yeah.
Tristan Call was at that press conference with him. I don't know if you recall who Tristan Call is, but he live streamed and made viral the blocking of, can you show the next one? The blocking of an ICE van picking up a man and his son. Do you remember that on the news? You remember that on everyone's news?
Yeah.
On all of social media? The guy that works with Pueblos Sin Fronteras, the human smuggling operation, connected to organized crime, the Border Support Network, and criminals like the guy behind me right now, this guy, is none other than Tristan Call, a guy that is working directly with Irineo Mujica and Pueblos Sin Fronteras, just in case you forgot.
Oh, yeah.
And here is Wong's cadre of friends, links that she put on here. One of the people connected to this post, as you can see, is friends of Linda Sarsour, Lisa Fithian.
Okay.
You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So Winnie Wong posted all of her besties and links on them in her cadre that are working with Bernie Sanders' campaign. Remember, Winnie Wong works with Bernie Sanders' campaign.
Oh, yeah.
She's got Nomiki Konst, Linda Sarsour, Nina Turner, herself, and Movimiento. I don't remember who that is. Notice they've got the Black Lives Matter or Black Panthers people and the Democratic Socialists of America. Wow. How do we always end up at the same spot? And of course, you know, Lisa Fithian was connected to the Tornillo occupation that we saw out in Texas. And here is Tornillo's occupation's Facebook page. That was Patricia Akwomu, as you can see.
Oh, yeah.
And in their avatar is the little girl that died in the desert, the Guatemalan girl. You remember her?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
This Patricia post where she climbs the Southwest Keys facility, one of the many things that Patricia Akwomu has climbed, besides the Statue of Liberty, is a post by Lisa Fithian.
Yep.
She obviously is part of that group, as I said, the Tornillo Resistance, working with these folks. Remember, Patricia Akwomu on that day was working with the human smuggler and trafficker, Louis Monsivice.
That's right.
Ex-felon and stunt double for Machete.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Hollywood actor as well.
Yeah.
So this is the altar that they made at Tornillo. That avatar that you saw comes from one of their many charades, what we call them. Here they are making a Christmas tree out of water jugs and putting that dead child at the top of the tree as a Christmas tree topper.
I remember that, yeah.
In their encampment. This is Lisa Fithian's post. This is how they use the bodies of these dead children.
Yeah.
It's all for spectacle, folks. It should make you want to vomit that they would use these kids in that way. How can you work with these criminals? How can you be associated with all these criminals and be okay with it? And be okay with having them close to vulnerable people like that little girl that is a tree topper. It should bother you. Since Sarsour's Facebook page shows that she is a civil rights activist And of course, as you know, she is one of the founders of the Women's March, which also created Families Belong Together.
Oh, yeah.
The group that helped Maria Mesa get over the border. And of course, you know, Paloma for Trump helped her as well.
Yeah.
But that's who she is. And let's not forget that Cassandra Fairbanks at one point retweeted Linda Sarsour when she was talking about Antifa. Linda Sarsour was promoting Antifa. Obviously, Cassandra Fairbanks was retweeting somebody that was questioning that logic. But I just find it interesting how these people involved in this spectacle teeter and totter back and forth on their position. As I don't know, it seems as if it's it may be purchasable, or you know, they don't really stand for anything. In this article that gives you more detail about this Cassandra Fairbanks and this Brendan Darby, titled "Snitch Alert," Brendan Darby will be at the RNC filming of protesters with former FTP protester Cassandra Fairbanks. Now, this is back from when Standing Rock was still going on.
Yeah. But
it's got a lot of really, really important information about these two. I mean, it's definitely worth reading. I suggest you go and find it, and that you read it carefully and learn what the history of these two individuals is. And honestly, I wouldn't trust Cassandra Fairbanks as far as I could throw her. Yeah. When I started to share information about her and her background, she threatened our show.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
But so have all of these frauds. They're like, I'm going to sue you, blah, blah, blah. You know, get in line.
Yeah, get in line.
There's so many of them, Duke.
Yeah, and her thing was like, I'm not a cam girl. It's like, that's it. After we shown all this other crime and stuff you've been doing.
Type in Cassandra Fairbanks and porn and see what you find.
Yeah, and I did that. And don't do that, please. Don't do that. Bad idea. Bad idea. And I actually did it. Sydney said on her show, put her name in, Cassandra Fairbanks.
I don't know why these sex workers don't like to be called out.
And you know, she was like, how dare you say that? And I mean, that was the least of what you've been doing. You know, you've been like colluding with the Russians. You know, you've been doing some stuff. You wrote for Sputnik. You know, you've done some stuff that is horribly, you should be afraid of. And you're going to try to sue us because we called you a cam girl, which you are.
If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then maybe it is a sex worker. That's right. All I'm saying. Because there's a lot of stuff. But she's also the one that shared that Joe Biggs video that got deleted by Joe Biggs from Twitter. You remember that? We got it. The Joe Biggs.
Oh, the Joe Biggs.
Cassandra Fairbanks tweet. And we also saved a video of the Cassandra, the Joe Biggs.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah, I remember.
We're not going to show you the video again, but
we played it in the previous show.
It's no longer there, by the way, because Joe Biggs removed it. So it's gone, but we still have the screen capture in the video, and I wanted to remind you that has to do with the riot that the criminal behind me is getting arrested for.
Exactly, yeah. He was addressing the mayor.
The whole shenanigans. And who was Cassandra Fairbanks closely associated with? Aside from the FBI informant Brendan Darby, Winnie Wong. Remember, this was also, I felt like she was some kind of a spy because she wrote for Sputnik. I don't know if she still writes for Sputnik, but they had to register as a foreign agent.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that I have questions about there. Cassandra was also taking pictures with Bill Clinton in this photo in which he's cozying up to the ex-president. Winnie Wong, of course, posts it on her page, from her page, and they're campaigning for Bernie Sanders, both of them. Do you see that hashtag? Feel the burn.
Feel the burn.
The Border Liberation Front, Caravan Support Network, that Evan Duke helped to found is part of that article posted on Evan Duke's page about the FBI monitoring people associated with the Caravan Support Network. Yes. Same article, Caravan Support Network, the Border Liberation Front, it's going down, all in there. And look at what the concern is. We heard that Ivan Riebling and him were being investigated for the sale of weapons, for arming themselves. And this article talks about that once again. And they said that trainers had on display various firearms, among them AR-15s, AK-47s, and handguns in Arizona.
Wow.
And this is an Antifa training seminar that they were describing in these FBI notes. So this is, and can you go back to that for just a minute, please?
Yeah.
It says here that the documents by the Border Liberation Front organizers planned camps in Texas, that's the camps that we talked about. Also in Arizona, which we told you they were going to have all along the border, serve as staging platforms for on-site armed support of the caravan. They intended to purchase firearms from a Mexico-based cartel associate.
That's Paloma's friend, right?
Who could it be? Pendeja for Fraud's friend?
Yeah.
Ivan Riebling? I don't know, Duke. Who do you think it could be?
Oh, it has to be. It's obviously Ivan, and Duke, Evan Duke, not me, Duke. Evan Duke was the one who mentioned in that article that, it's because of a Fargo radio host that he's actually being looked at. No, I think it's because you've been doing all these dirty deals and doing these organizations, getting involved in all these underhanded things and thinking you're just above the law. That's why you're being investigated. You're being investigated from your own behavior, not just because we did a radio show about you. If we can piece it together, the government of the United States that does investigation, that has the resources and all sorts of people that can travel around and get all this information, they can figure this stuff out a lot quicker than we ever could. We're finding publicly available information that is just out there. And they're actually pursuing you because of what you've been doing.
Someone in our super chat asked if we know whether Brandon covered the Tucson Tall Haul. I have no clue.
I don't know
Olive
either.
oil.
No.
I don't know the answer to the question. I don't remember I don't even know what the Tall Haul is, but I don't remember him doing, well, maybe he does do on, coverage on the ground. I don't know. I thought at least recently he's been doing reports in Breitbart, editing in Breitbart.
Yeah.
So, patriotic vegan, I do too. I have lots of questions about Cassandra. Lots. There's a lot of questions about each of these characters I will probably never get to answer. But I do learn an awful lot. Over the years, I have learned an awful lot. So remember I told you about the Bahamas? This is a post from Evan. The last one I'm going to show you from his page tonight. From Evan Duke's page about mutual aid. Again, they're bringing that anarchist idea of mutual aid on the Bahamas. They brought it to the Border Support Network. Now they're taking it to the Bahamas.
Wow.
And it is, this ideal that cooperation and peaceful cooperation, we can fund everything and we can get everything done. And they're using it for political gain. They're using it to take away resources and usurp positions of representation of people of color and people that are in need. And I think it's disgusting. And on that same post, Duke, he posted 2 links at the bottom there that you can see. Isn't it say right here the links? No, maybe I'm wrong. Oh, it's okay. It's in the comments. Yeah, you're right. And it says, Open World is Janice Stone's team. She's legit. Nothing you say or are associated with is legit, you liar. She is legit. And they kicked ass during Puerto Rico. If you mean they defrauded people and didn't really help, I don't think so. I don't know what you mean. But there was no kicking. You may be kicking Puerto Rico's ass.
Yeah.
But I have reports from people in Puerto Rico. We've had reports the entire time that they were there, that they were doing a bunch of awful things with awful people closely associated to you. And you've never been able to explain it. You just basically wash your hands of it. But he puts the links there to the PayPal for One World Relief, which is here, and a GoFraudMe for Jana and Dennis. Here's the GoFraudMe.
Huh.
They want your money again. It says they're a 100% tax deductible. I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I highly doubted there's a legitimate 501c3 involved with this thing. And they've really, it appears, have been out there since Hurricane Maria was in Puerto Rico. They've been out in Puerto Rico right up until now. And you can see, does it show how much money they've raised?
Let me check. I'll scroll down on it.
Let's see if it shows you how much money they've already defrauded people of. So sad that this is what they've decided to do.
No, there's no numbers on this.
No numbers? Okay. No. Well, just know there's a GoFraudMe for them. Open World Bahamas Response Mission. They got a video on there. This is what they say they claim they're going to do with the money, okay? So they're currently organizing relief efforts in the Bahamas, and they want establish a Florida base of operations. Don't they already have one with the Black Flag people that they defrauded people in Puerto Rico from?
Well, they need to continue to raise money in other ways.
Oh, I get it. They already have it. They say they have to establish it so people will send them money for the thing they already have. I got it. Acquisition of air assets. The hell is that?
Air assets?
Sea assets? What, boats and planes?
Ships.
What? Oh my God.
Submarines.
I got to tell you about the scam they did with the charter planes at some time. I got to tell the people that are listening that are new.
Oh, yeah.
Solidification of supply chain.
Who knows what that means? Yeah.
Interagency coordination, working with other relief groups and government agencies. Coordination for follow-on teams, organizing volunteers to come after initial search and rescue operations to be adjusted based on dynamic needs in the Bahamas. Man, one of the most devastated places in the world right now. And you have to add insult to injury by having a surge of disaster vultures showing up.
No kidding.
To take the limited number of resources. It's, oh my God, I just saw Black Flags. Black Flag is hashtagged in one of these things, Duke.
Wow.
It's the same people.
Yep, they are.
Oh my God.
Well, part of it is that they're not being held accountable. Like, look what Evan Duke has done for such a long time. And now here he is. He's finally being held for
go to jail.
For one of the things. I mean, that's not even all the other stuff he's done. It's just one of the most recent things that he's gotten so sloppy and thinking that he has the upper hand and all this stuff, and he is the righteous one, that he can just run around and do this sort of violence against people and act like he's the savior of our community and our country. Well, it caught up to him real quick in just one community.
Well, hopefully it catches up to all of them sooner or later. And I know that many of you would like to see Paloma for fraud in handcuffs next.
Yeah.
We don't know when it will happen. But, what comes around goes around. So I expect to see more. And at the pace at which victims are coming forward, you never can tell when the hammer will fall. Thank you for being with us tonight on Mexican Crossing Lines here on kpppfm.com, 88.1 FM, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. And please stay tuned for more.
Stay tuned for more. Good night, everybody.
Buenas noches.